Welcome to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast, a show chocked full of strategies for scaling your speaking business. Now here's your host, coach to the industry superstars, Jane Atkinson.
Well, welcome everyone to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. Today we have a speaking superstar back with us. Welcome back to the show, Shola Richards.
Oh, Jane, my friend, first of all, thank you for having me back. It's such a pleasure. We're sitting before the recording, just catching up, and I feel like I could do a podcast episode on the episode before we started recording. That's how much we've been
Yes.
talking.
We have
So it's so nice to reconnect.
so much to reconnect on. You have been out there just killing it, and I've loved watching you from over here. For those who missed our last episode, give everyone just like an overview of a snapshot of your current business model. What is bringing you, what are all the different revenue streams that you have going, and what's going on in your business right now?
Yeah, I'll keep it super tight. So, because I could talk about forever as my passion project. So, my main lane is talking about kindness and
Mhm.
really specifically like practical kindness. So, if anyone listening were to go onto like Instagram or LinkedIn and type in kindness into the search bar, what you're gonna see is a lot of like cheesy memes, like, kindness is free, sprinkle it everywhere. And it's like, yeah, that sounds great and
Sprinkle.
all, but what do you do when the world's on fire? What do you do if like you're $100,000 in debt? What do you do if your kid is, God forbid, on meth or your wife is sleeping with the gardener? Like these are really real situations where
Yeah.
kindness, like sprinkle it everywhere, is not a solution. So my goal is make kindness freakishly practical. The how
Mhm.
to do it. So my revenue cycles or streams, I should say, for me, keynote speaking, of course.
Mhm.
And since we've last talked, Jane, I
Ooh,
started my own podcast, the
ooh.
Kindness Extremist podcast, and that's been pretty helpful as well. So
Oh,
that's been cool as
I'm
well.
I am so tuning into that. I am going to go to Apple Podcasts right now and I'm going to follow it because we all need a dose of this on the regular.
Amen.
And that is so important. Now, you didn't land at the top of the mountain, so
Oh
go
God,
back
no.
to the beginning. And there was some pain that there was some pain that actually was the beginning of all of this. So tell everybody the story and as to how you got started speaking.
Yeah, so I was a long time ago, at this point, 20 years ago, I was in a
Was it
really
20?
20 years ago. So
Oh,
that was the OG original, like kind of origin story of this whole thing. I was in a
okay.
really deeply toxic work environment. It was terrible. And I'll spare the details, but just trust it was really, really bad. So
Mhm.
bad that I ended up falling to a really deep depression. And that
Mhm.
term is used often euphemistically with some people. I'm using it literally, like I was dealing with clinical depression.
Yes.
And I decided one morning that I was going to take my own life. And I want to be clear because I didn't think about suicide. I actually attempted. So I live in Los Angeles and I tried driving my car off the overpass of a nearby freeway. So like that's bad stuff. To get to a point where you are so broken inside that you're like, I want to end my own life.
Yes.
So that was 20 years ago. Now, I started working in a workplace and I was like, you know what? I want to make the workplace a better place. So this stuff doesn't
Mhm.
happen. I didn't have any experience or anything like that, but I had a job at least. So I started sharing my ideas in my job. I started sharing it online. Then I started doing presentations for work because I was a training specialist. I did corporate training for my job. And I started giving presentations, and there were boring presentations on like how to schedule appointments in a doctor's office. That's where I used to work. And then I was like, I was gonna make them fun. I shared stories, and people were like, "You're kind of good at this thing. You should be like
Ah.
you should speak for a living. You should be like Tony Robbins or Les Brown." I'm like, who are these people? Then I looked them up. I was like, whoa, they're cool. And I started going out on my own a little bit and speaking a little bit, and I was absolutely objectively terrible. That's not even like I'm not trying to be
Oh.
like very like kind of like a little self-deprecating. I was terrible. I was really bad. But long story short, after practicing for a while in 2018, I started to get pretty good at it and I quit my job. And
Okay.
then I started doing it full time. And that's when I decided that I was going to really make a run at this and go really deep into the practice of understanding professional speaking and honing in my message. And for doing that, it grew pretty quickly. And I mean, really quickly because I really studied what worked. I made sure my
Yeah.
message was lasered in so people knew what the heck I was doing, what the heck I was saying, and how I can benefit folks.
Yeah.
And I took feedback like it was my job. I was sitting here like I was listening to feedback, really difficult feedback about my initial talks. And I'm taking it all in and like, you're right. You're right. And I'm changing it and getting better. And then I got to the point where I was able to be self-sustaining and do some pretty cool things. And here we are in 2026.
Oh, that is amazing. And watching this trajectory of yours just explode has been a gift to us in the speaking profession. One of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you today was because of a post
Mm,
wrote about grief, about losing your dad a few years ago.
yeah.
Clearly, that had a major impact on you, but you learned some things about grief. Can you talk a little bit about that? I feel like this is something that people need to hear.
Oh my gosh, there's so much, Jane. Thank you for even giving me the space. So my dad is from Sierra Leone, Western Africa. So he is the best way to describe my dad is he's like Mufasa from The Lion King. He's like the coolest dude. He's just this larger than life African man, PhD, highly educated, super smart dude, loving, kind, strong, all the things.
Mm,
So I lost him in 2019 after a valiant battle with colon cancer. And he's just I talk about him in my speeches all the time, and I kind of
mhm.
share like he talks like Shola, come here, boy. We need like a big African voice. He's a larger than life
Yeah.
character.
So he's
I
still with you on the stage.
he is. And what I try to remind myself of is even though as I fight through the grief, I
Mhm.
use that as a moment to kind of allow his legacy to kind of live on.
Yeah.
What I did learn though, and this kind of goes back to the whole kindness making a practical thing, is
Mhm.
after he passed, people, God bless folks, are just terrible when it comes to supporting people who are grieving. And I'm not saying that in a judgy way. The
Yeah.
reality is
We
most
just
of us
don't
don't know
know.
how. Exactly. We have no idea what to do. So I mean, I'm like, all right, if you really want to be kind, understanding how to like deal with grieving in a meaningful way, well, one thing, and there's really three things. One is understanding presence over platitudes. And so I know a lot of people do this to manage their own discomfort as they're dealing with someone who's grieving, like, oh my gosh, like your loved one is in a better place, or everything happened for a reason, or one thing
Hmm.
that a friend of mine who lost her son recently, her adult son, was told like, well, clearly God needed another angel. Like,
Mm.
what the hell? What you're gonna say that to someone? Like, no, actually, God didn't need him as much as his kids needed him.
Yeah.
So these things are upsetting and unhelpful, but we do them. So my thing is when I say presence, just be there. I'm like, hey man,
Yeah.
Shola, this sucks, man. I'm really, really sorry. And I don't know what to say. Just want to let you know that I'm
Yeah.
here to support you. And that's a really powerful thing.
Yeah.
Platitudes don't lessen anything. Saying everything happens for a reason is not very helpful to someone's deep in grief. So I would
Hmm.
avoid that. The
Hmm.
second thing, it's funny there's so many different things that I think about when it comes to managing grief. Another one, oh, sorry, I just hit my knee on the table. I find it to be so easy for folks to go to this place where, yeah, so back to the second point, which I find to be really challenging for a lot of folks, but this is a really easy thing to do.
Hmm.
Be the one who remembers. And what I mean by this specifically
Oh,
is like, so when you think about it, someone passes away,
yeah.
or in grief is like this really all-encompassing thing. But as soon as someone dies, you're getting DoorDash cards to your house, or casseroles are being mailed or so
Hmm.
whatever sent over to your house. But what happens like about 10 to 12 days later when
Nothing.
everything stops?
It's quiet.
And you're really struggling. It's
Yeah.
those moments, and you know it if you're dealing with grief. It's those anniversaries, right? The anniversary of the passing, the
Hmm.
person's birthday.
Birthday,
If it's your dad, which is
Christmas.
for me, Christmas,
Yeah.
Father's Day,
Yeah.
all these it's all these different things happen and you feel this deep, intense pain.
Yeah.
What is so helpful? Because I mean, God knows on a random Tuesday, I'm sitting in the parking lot crying over missing my dad. So
Hmm.
when you're the person who remembers, like, hey, listen, Shola, it's Father's Day, man, and I am just want to let you know I'm
Sorry.
thinking about you, man. I hope you're doing well. That means so, so
Yeah.
much. I can't say enough. I mean, and sometimes if it's just put it a reminder on your phone. If it's a person you care about, you know is grieving, just
Yeah.
sending. I mean, it doesn't have to. I mean, it could be someone who's lost a pregnancy. It could be so many different things to just keep in mind. It can be really, really helpful.
Yes.
I think probably the third thing, which is the hardest for me specifically, is permission to be joyful. This was a hard thing for me. So
Mm.
after my dad passed. Now, I don't know if anyone can relate to this or you can relate to this too, Jane. It's like I felt this this guilt, this like suffocating guilt around laughing or
Oh,
finding
yeah. You're not
joy.
ready. Well, how can the world be laughing when they're not here anymore?
Oh, but no, but even for me,
Yeah.
I felt like I'm dishonoring him by
Yeah.
laughing. I mean, that means that I got over it, that I don't love
Yeah.
him as much because I'm laughing at something and
Yeah.
understanding that true joy and feeling joy, like it's not a dishonoring of the person who passed. If
Yeah.
anything, of course, the person who loves you would want you to be celebrating as well. But the idea that
Yes.
it's not saying that you don't love the person who passed, it's like
Right.
that was a lesson for me that took a long time to learn. But if we're trying to just get through this grief stuff, the world, if we talked about this a little bit off camera, it's hard right now. It's a hard time to live.
Mhm.
And if you're dealing with all the stuff that's happening in the world, plus grief for whatever it may be, in
Mhm.
grief, again, it doesn't have to be someone passing. It could be something like a debilitating injury, or it could be something that's
Yeah.
happened. Managing all these things, I'm like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. You'll be fine. It's like, that's not helpful.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
helpful. And it's not
Somebody said
kind.
to me when you know, that I had a detached retina, and somebody said, "Oh, that's okay. You have another eye."
I
Like,
mean,
well, that's not very helpful. Thank
that's
you.
not, I mean, gosh,
That's not even remotely helpful.
that's not even, and it's also not even remotely kind. Like
No,
that's
no.
not, and I think the
I
person,
think
like
they were trying to be funny
it's
and
not
make
funny.
me laugh, and in that moment, it just wasn't the right timing for anything remotely like that. But yeah,
That's mind blowing to me.
what I wanted to share with you, um, it was about, so my mom is 96, she's still living, and
Hmm.
she has Alzheimer's.
Okay,
And
that's
I
that's challenging.
remember taking her for her birthday. She loved to go to Red Lobster. And my
Oh,
husband and her took her to her birthday maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. And at Red Lobster, she said to him, "John, are your parents still alive?" And this, of course, we were very, very close as a family. So she obviously knew that his parents had long passed. But in that moment, she wasn't remembering. And that
mm,
was the moment that I realized my mom has something going on. And so we went on and got her diagnosed with Alzheimer's. But I actually think, Shola, that I have been grieving her for 3 years
hmm.
because the person that she was is no longer.
That's correct.
She was my best friend. I talked to her every day, multiple times a day. We texted up
Hmm.
until this all started to go down, and I just really miss her. And so I just thought, I think that qualifies.
Oh my gosh, does it ever? In fact, you could argue that the grieving that you're going through is even harder than what I went through with my dad. Not to play like, grief poker here. I'll take that one. You
Yeah,
do this. But the
yeah,
idea is like what you're going through is trickier because your mom's still with us. But what you're seeing is like the slow, really suffering of the decline that you have to deal with.
yeah,
And like the person, you can see her physically, you can touch her, but the person that she was 5, 6, 10 years ago is no longer
yeah.
there. So you
Um,
have to make truth with this new reality and accept that, which is like my
mhm.
dad. When my dad died, he was dead. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not saying that to be callous. I mean, he was gone. So I
yeah.
knew I
It
couldn't
was
go visit him.
finite.
I
Hmm.
exactly. There was a really clean closure and break that I had to navigate and work with.
Yeah,
This is not that because you're dealing with grieving almost two deaths in a sense. The one
yeah.
that's inevitably going to happen to all of us as human beings, and the one that's currently happening with the slow decline. So I I'm glad you mentioned that, though, Jane, because I think one of the challenges I think in our world,
Yes.
getting a little bit too metaphysical on this, we just don't have enough of these deep conversations. A lot of
Mm.
times we want to spiritually bypass and just be like, "Oh, everything's fine. Don't worry about it.
Gloss it
It's
over.
yeah." And
Mm-hmm.
I think what we're when I see with my audiences on stage is they're suffering through so much stuff. And when I choose to get vulnerable about my challenges, whether it's my dad, with
Yeah.
my own my depression that I've dealt with my whole life, or most of it
Mm-hmm.
anyway, or my suicidal ideation, thank God, was a one-time deal.
Mm-hmm.
I think people feel permission to be like, oh, shoot, I can.
Yeah.
This guy's on stage talking about it, and that's cool. I mean, so
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Jane, one thing that I find to be so interesting is after every single talk, and I mean every single talk, whether I'm talking to 10,000 people or 20,
Mm-hmm.
someone's coming up to me and know what it is? It's usually dudes, it's usually guys who come up to me afterward and they usually talking to me in hushed tones like, hey, I've been really struggling with some challenges and you actually gave me some permission to feel safe to be able to say this. And they're hugging me and they're sobbing
Oh, wow.
because I think women are more, I'm generalizing obviously, but women are more willing to be in touch with their emotions. And guys have been told to be strong and not be a
Yeah.
punk and you got to deal with it. And it gives people permission to be like, hey,
Yeah.
you know what? If this guy can do it, I can too. But this is what we're doing right now in this podcast,
Yeah.
Jane. We're talking about something deep, your mom's Alzheimer
Yeah.
diagnosis and my dad's passing. But doing it on stage has a similar effect for audiences as well. And ever since I started leaning into that, I think it's made a huge difference in terms of real connection with the people I'm speaking to.
And okay, so let's talk about when you are a professional speaker
Hmm.
and you are deep in grief. This happened 1 year after you went out on your own.
Yeah, it's awful.
How does somebody, the show must go on,
Hmm.
and some people take a period of time off,
Hmm.
but how do you get back out there and and this is for you people at home. You've got something big that's happening in your own backyard, in your family, with a friend, whatever it might be. There's been a diagnosis. There's always something that can cause you some angst and some grief. How does a speaker go on?
Oh my gosh. Personally speaking, my dad passed on February 3rd. I had an event on February 10th. So I think a lot of speakers will probably feel me on this. It's like we don't get a whole lot of like bereavement leave or whatever.
Mhm.
This event was counting on me. They needed me there, and I had to be there. I was very real and very transparent with not just the meeting organizers, but with the audience. I mean, I was like,
Mhm.
look, I just want to let you know, I'm going through it right now. My dad
Yeah.
passed last week, and I miss him deeply. And most people, well, not most people, I say if you're not tethered to your humanity, sure, but 99.9% of people are like, oh man, I feel you. That's got to be
Yeah.
tough. And it allowed me to be real. My dad is part of my talk. I mean,
Yeah.
metaphysically and sometimes literally when I really think about it. And
Yes.
it's emotional. So I am an emotional guy, and I think this part is important to mention, Jane. I'm what's called an
Mhm.
HSP, which stands for a highly sensitive person. So I feel things think very, very deeply. It affects
Yes.
about 15 to 20% of the human population.
Uh-huh.
So
How is that different from an empath?
it's very similar. Yeah,
Okay.
oftentimes they're used interchangeably. So
Okay.
I lean into that as like kind of the more clinical term, I guess.
Okay.
It's just it's really tough when you're feeling things. So I knew that when I was getting to the part of my talk where I talked about my dad, it was going to be tough.
Yeah.
I didn't break down, but I did do something very important. I gave myself permission to if I
Yeah.
did. And I think that's part of it. So dealing with grief is going to be part of it. People are going to get on stage and give talks when they've got all sorts of stuff going on. They're worried about something going on with their kid, or
Yes.
they just got a horrible health diagnosis themselves that's really scary, or God forbid, something in the world is triggering them, a war abroad where they have loved ones living in an area that's being attacked. It's a
Oh
lot,
gosh. Yes.
right? And
It is a
so
lot.
I just feel like there's something to be said about naming it. There's something to be said about being real about it. I don't think we have to hide about what our grief points are. I think we should be
Yeah.
able to talk about that. But to your point, and just keeping it real, and I hope it doesn't feel callous to the audience. Yeah, the show must go on. And I think there's a part of that. Like, I know I have 45 minutes to an hour to lock in and be in service. And that's something that I really think about is like, while yes, I have stuff, so does everyone else in the audience. They're not
Yes,
sitting
they
here.
all have stuff.
They all have stuff and they still got to show up for meetings. They still have to show up for work. They still have to do the things for their parents, for their kids, or whomever. And I
Yes.
think about that too. So, what makes my grief more special than theirs? Because I'm the one on stage and they're not. That to me
Mhm.
is kind of the juxtaposition that I lean into. I'm like, wait a second. I'm not special. I'm just the guy who's delivering a message, but we're
Yeah.
all going through it. And that was the thing that got me through it that week after when I was like, "Ooh, I don't know if I can do this." My wife was like, babe, I mean, God bless her, she's not a speaker, so she's like,
Yeah.
just call it off. Like, I can't do that. I
Yeah.
can't do that.
A
I
lot of
gotta show
people
up.
just don't want to let people down. And there
Hmm.
might be moments in your life, a cancer diagnosis or something like that. It's like, okay, your
Sure.
clients are going to understand, they're going to bump out, and it's going to be fine. And I've also seen the speaking community swoop in on someone
Oh
and
yeah, man.
say, and like half a dozen of their events are covered by other speakers and they still get the income. Like that just warms my heart. Talk about kindness.
Oh my gosh. But that's
Ah,
what makes this industry so special, I
it
think.
really is
You
special
know,
that way. And I have seen that on multiple occasions. I know that it goes on. And I think that it's really, really special that there are people out there that will fly to a location
yep.
for you
Hmm.
and do a speech for you and then hand you the check. That's pretty special.
Absolutely. And I probably should preface what I said before. Like there's certain things that are like a hard stop, like I'm not going. Like God forbid, like
Hmm.
my one of my daughters were dead or in a car
Something.
accident. I'm
Yeah.
not going. But to your
Yes.
point, there will be
Yeah.
I can reach out to, I have a list of 5 humans that I
Yeah.
can be like, probably more, but 5 at the top of my head that I'm
Yeah.
like, look,
Help.
I'm
Help.
speaking next week. I can't do this. I
Yeah.
need you to cover, and they'll do it. And that's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing about this
I
industry.
like I like the idea of if you don't have a list already, get
Get
a
one.
list. Get a backup list so that and that's me. My husband thinks I catastrophize, and maybe I do, but I always have a plan because I catastrophize. I always know what would I do if the worst case scenario happened. Then I would go to this little phone list and I would know what I was going to do.
I do
Okay.
the same thing, Jane. I gotta have it. Like there's a show called 24. It's an old show, came out in like the early 2000s.
I
And
know
Jack,
24. Kiefer Sutherland.
yeah, Jack Bauer, right? So when Jack
Canadian.
Bauer
Yeah,
went,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely Canadian. So when Jack Bauer would go into a location, he always knew like how to get out of here. That's one of his things. We're having,
Ah,
so I always think about I gotta have a backup because life is gonna keep lifing, and if I don't have a
mhm.
plan, I'm gonna be screwed. And so
Yes,
we all should have something in case, God forbid, something really happens that's gonna cause you to fall into a deep pit of grief.
yes. I really like having a plan. So back to your mainstay,
Mhm.
kindness.
Yeah.
Let's talk about kindness in an AI world.
Oh, let's.
Okay, you have been able to build. So I'll bet you any money. If I would have met you 30 years ago, and well, actually, this did happen. Did you ever know a speaker named Keith Harrell?
Yes.
He was
Yes. Well, I know, well, let me rephrase that. I know of him. I have his
of
book.
him, of
Yeah, I
him.
never got to
Yes,
meet the
he was
dude, but
before
yes.
your time.
Yes, yes, he
Unfortunately,
was.
he passed at a fairly young age.
He
And Keith
did.
Harrell was a speaker on attitude.
Yes.
And in the moment, I was working for the Speakers Bureau at the time, and I saw lots and lots of speakers pass through. I rolled my eyes and thought, attitude. I had a bad attitude about attitude. I didn't think that that was a career building topic.
Hmm.
Keith Harrell told me otherwise
He
because
did.
he built a seven-figure business from
Hmm.
a soft skill like attitude. You have built a very, very lucrative business from kindness. And now there's like a lot of people jumping on the AI wagon or what have you. Talk a little bit about how you're standing firm in your field and how did you even land there in the first place?
Yeah, so many things. It's funny that you mentioned Keith Harrow because I'm sure you're familiar with Simon T. Bailey.
Yes, of course.
Okay, yeah. So Simon T. Bailey was kind of the guy who got me into the business. I watched him speak once, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to do what he does. Because I
That
didn't see
was
a
Les
whole.
Brown for me.
Is that funny?
Yeah.
Everyone has that person,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And you might not know this part of the story. Keith Harrell was that person for
For
Simon T.
Simon
Bailey.
T. Bailey. Oh, I
Yeah.
love
So it's
this.
kind of funny how like the whole train goes. And God, I hope I get to be
Mm-hmm.
that way for that one for someone else down the road. To
That's
that
okay.
point, when you said like Keith Harrell made a seven-figure business off of attitude,
Mm-hmm.
I've been able to do the same with kindness. And
Yes.
the reason why, which is so funny, AI is here. It's a huge disruptive force that can do lots of good and lots of bad.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of speakers and want to jump on the AI bandwagon,
Mm-hmm.
and some folks were already on it, and those folks I'm not speaking about because they already this is their thing. But there are folks who are like just about to start a speaking career, like what's gonna be the thing that's gonna
Yeah.
I know AI, and I will challenge folks who think that for a couple of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Trends change. I mean, I know AI is going to be here forever, but I know back in 2018, people were all over cryptocurrency. Where's that? People were there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was speaking with all these
Yes.
people, and they're no longer around.
Right.
My thing that I think is really helpful and what Keith understood way back when is while folks are looking forward, there's a lot of money to be made by looking backward. And what I mean by that is like the things throughout millennia that have not been solved. Having a good attitude is something that is
Mm-hmm.
going to be a thing that it'll never, ever, 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 ever go away. Leadership, figuring out leadership, another thing that'll never, ever, ever go away. And guess what?
Communication.
Communication and kindness and teamwork and all those things. So kindness
Mm-hmm.
is one of those things. But what I had to do to kind of, I don't know, make it a little bit more palatable for the audience, because you're talking to these big corporate folks like kindness, this stuff you teach in kindergarten, these soft
Yeah.
skills, what we need this foolishness for?
Yeah.
It's like, how do you make it super practical that they're like, oh, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Because it's not about high fives and handshakes. I don't do that stuff, although I love both.
Mm-hmm.
It's more around the idea of like really making this something that's going to change cultures and ideally change the world. And it's not about being nice, because I think that's what a lot of people kind of equate the two.
Yes.
Niceness is not that nice. Nice is saying please and thank you while the world is burning. And kindness is the type of person who is going to tend to the fires, tend to the burned, and make sure that it doesn't happen again. In other words,
Mm.
nice is something that you do, kind is something that you are.
Are.
And it's a challenge that I'm putting on folks to be like, all right, can
Mm-hmm.
we, if you're the manager who's like, hey, I have an open door policy, and the second someone walks through that door, you roll your eyes. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. That's that
It's
stuff
not.
that people think is kind. It's not. So when I give it that way and explain it to them in a really practical way through the framework, people are like, oh, I get it now. And I want the framework to be simple enough for high level CEOs to be able to master
Yeah.
and for elementary school kids to be able to do as well.
Well, you have built a beautiful, beautiful business from this. I wanted to drill down on one of your socials
Yes.
because that's where this ball got rolling for this second interview. 25,000 plus on your LinkedIn community. And when you communicate with people, they respond, they interact. If a speaker is just now saying, well, where do I spend all my time
Mm-hmm.
on social media? Is it TikTok? Is it Instagram? Is it this? Is it that? You spend clearly some time on LinkedIn and you have a bit of a message for new speakers. What would you, or not even just new speakers, any speaker who's
Yeah.
trying to figure out where to spend their time. What say you?
I'll tell, there's kind of two ways to look at this. If you are someone who is like really good on video and those type of things, and you're into that, do your
Yeah.
TikTok thing, do your dances, do your Instagram, have at it,
YouTube.
go
Yeah.
where you feel the most comfortable. That's the first
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
Reason why I lean into LinkedIn is kind of more of a practical reason. I mean, that's where the people who book speakers hang out.
That's
So
right.
while it's fine for me to entertain the people who go to my talks, they're connected to me on Instagram and Facebook or whatever, and that's always cool. And I'm there, but I prioritize the people who are going to get me onto the stages so I can reach more people. So that's kind of the idea. If I am on Instagram doing my stuff, the people, while they may be there, but there are folks on LinkedIn who are actively looking for speakers. And what I think is so important is that you have to let the people know who book speakers, not just what you speak about, but that you actually know your stuff. So the reason why I started my podcast, the Kindness Extremist podcast, is I get to go long form on like these ideas around kindness. So people are like, oh, this guy actually knows his stuff. And the same
Yeah.
thing what I'm doing on LinkedIn too, is like sharing my ideas in more long form, not just the quick hitter stuff that you would do on Instagram, but really deeper posts that people can read and understand. The one that got me back on your podcast is the one about grief that we're talking about right now.
Yes.
So it's like
Yes.
that's the idea. And I've gotten more podcast interviews and speaking requests coming from going long form with my ideas than the
Mm-hmm.
short, pithy stuff. So I think that's kind of I would say, counterintuitive, kind of countercultural idea
Yeah.
is the longer form you can go. That's what people are looking for. Like they want to know if there's
They're
substance
like
inside.
engaging with your post.
I
I was
hope.
trying to figure out, so I did a post from Mexico about when the cartel uprising happened, like we were in the thick of it.
Oh God.
And I don't think my eye had detached yet, but it was a couple days later. But we were in the thick of it, and people, I wrote, and I just did it as therapy for myself. I wrote out this relatively long post and just said, here are all the things that are happening all around me right now. And I was really doing it with the intention of saying, I feel bad for the people of Puerto Vallarta who work and have a livelihood here
Yes.
because the beach went from thousands of people to zero people
Oh
overnight, and it
God.
lasted for a couple of days, and it was very scary for everybody and what have you. But 1.2 million people viewed that post, and thousands of people shared it because I
Mm.
think they were trying to say, here's what's really happening on the ground, because there was so much misinformation out there.
Do you
Talk a
understand how
little,
powerful that is, though?
isn't that
Can you sit with
crazy?
that
It
for a
kind of gives
second?
me a little goosey just to think about it. So those same people have followed me through, oh crap, now we got to leave really quickly because my eye detached. So
Right, there's that.
it's been it was a very weird vacation. Um, but talk about getting deep. So you said, is it okay to talk about grief on LinkedIn?
Hmm.
And I love that that's how you open, because you're kind of like just saying, I'm giving myself permission to talk
Exactly.
about something
Kind of
that we don't
rhetorical.
always talk about.
Yeah.
But I think approaching those deep, meaningful conversations on what we would deem a business platform
Hmm.
is exactly the right tone for you. It's who
It's
you
a
are. You're sharing with people who you are.
The goal, yeah, first of all, thank you for that. The goal is to be a differentiator in some way, right? I
Hmm.
mean, if everyone's talking about their frameworks or whatever the heck it is, like
Business.
all this
Yeah.
stuff, like who are you? People want to get to
Yeah.
be one thing that I think is a big compliment is when I go to an event, like I feel like I know you. I was like, oh, that's sweet,
Oh,
which I
that's
appreciate because one of the things I'm trying to do in the writing is I write my stuff. So I am a writer, and just like you are too, Jane. And like
yeah.
my hope is that I want people to feel like there's no way this is written with AI. Like someone's going to read my stuff, like clearly he wrote this,
Yes,
right?
thank you. Yes,
The reason why
yes.
everyone thinks it sounds like if you use AI, and I mean, listen, I know this is gonna maybe ruffle some feathers, but oh well.
Hmm.
If you're using AI to write your posts and you're doing copy and paste jobs, you are going to sound just like everyone else. You
Yeah.
will fall into the AI slot bucket and no one will take you seriously. You're going to wonder why you have no engagement and people aren't hiring you to speak.
Hmm.
It's like, but if you go into an experience that's real to you around whatever your topic is, around your life and who you are as a human being, stuff that only you know and only you can
Yeah.
write. I'm not saying don't use AI to clean up your grammar, do that. But like,
Yeah. Or punch
hey,
it up.
yeah,
Yeah.
give me something to write about. Give me a post for today. Like that's not how
Hmm.
you do it. So it's like,
No,
yeah, that's not it.
no, no. And I actually have, full disclosure, a post recently, because my eye is a bit of a problem.
Of course.
I said, I want to write about this, and here's a couple of ideas that I have on this, and then I got some help.
Well,
I have
and shoot,
not
that's
done that very often. I have done some punch-up work with it, like, and I liked the way it formatted, but I totally hear what you're saying, that when you write from your own heart, it just has serious impact.
people feel it.
Yeah.
And I
It,
mean,
it
in your case, that's a totally extenuating circumstances to be clear. And I don't even know if there's anything wrong with that. I mean, not everyone's a writer like you are, and like I like to think I am. So I mean, I
Yeah,
get
I
it.
really miss it. I got to tell you, that's something that I'm feeling an angst for right now. So I don't know, maybe I need to go more video and just stream my consciousness in a different way. We have lots of options, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think people would love to hear from you. And even if it's just dictating what you would write onto
Yeah.
something, I mean, just your creative brain has not
Mm,
been affected by the detached retina. So, I mean, it's just
that's
like
right.
you are still the brilliant person who you've always been, who I've been
Thank you.
following ever since I decided to do this work over 10 years ago with all
Yeah.
the books right behind me. So, like,
Oh,
you
that's
are,
so nice. Let's also give a shout out to Chris West, who has also been a mentor to you, and
oh,
just,
yeah,
yeah, send him some love.
of
Um,
course.
talk about you've written books, yes?
I have three.
Okay, tell us the title of the most recent book. Let's do a little plug for that.
Oh, that's very kind. Most recent book is Civil Unity, The Radical Path to Transform Our Discourse, Our Lives, and Our World.
Oh, that's
Yeah. It was a
beautiful.
heavy book. I had to dive in because we're in this place where we have just forgotten how to disagree without disrespect. And
Oh,
folks,
so true.
right?
Politically,
And
especially,
oh, of
hey?
course. I mean, and I wrote this in election year here in the US in 2024. So, well, I
Mm,
didn't write in 2024, it got released in 2024.
yeah.
And it was been really, that book is, and I'm saying this humbly, I wrote this to be the most practical guide to create civility in our discourse in hardest conversations, race relations,
Mm,
politics, abortion, religion, immigration issues, what's going on
yeah.
in the Middle East, all these different things that we have divides on. I dove deep into how we can navigate these with our family members, at our
So
workplaces, in our
good.
communities. So I just want to give people a way, a roadmap to be able to reclaim their families, their peace of mind, their sanity, and their relationships in a way that's actually going to work and be practical and easy to follow.
Oh,
Not simple. And it's not, I should say the other way around. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's going to require quite a
not
bit of
easy.
work.
No.
But the guide's there, and I'm very proud of that work.
All right. Make sure you run out and get that book. And also go to your favorite podcast and check out
Woohoo!
Kindness Extremist Podcast.
Woohoo!
Shola Richards. I feel better after talking to you
You're
every
so
single
sweet, Shane.
time. Every single time you lift me up, as I know you do your audiences, and that's why you keep getting asked back. That's why you have a killer business is because
Thank you.
you leave them feeling good, and we just need more good. I know every speaker leaves people feeling good, but there's a special quality about you, Shola, and I'm
Oh,
so grateful that you came back to the show. Thank
I
you.
mean, you're like my Oprah, or like, and you tell me, hey, Shola, I want you on. I'm like, I'm like flipping tables to get to the computer to
Oh,
write you back. I'm like, yes, I'm in.
I'm so
Yes,
grateful.
no
I'm
brainer for me.
so grateful. Well, thank you. Now, if people want to connect with you, where? LinkedIn, or would you rather Instagram?
You know what's funny? Actually, I'll offer a third. Substack is kind of my new jam. That's kind of where I'm
Ah,
hanging out a lot these days. But the easiest
okay.
way to find me, just go to sholarichards.com. All
Okay.
my stuff is there. Choose whatever platform or email you want to reach out to me or whatever you want. It's the easy way to find me and see what I'm about.
Beautiful. Bless your heart. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We appreciate our listeners. If this impact had any impact on you, let me know. Jane at speakerlauncher.com. I'd love to hear from you. And with that, we're going to say bye for now, wealthy speakers. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. If you need help scaling your speaking business, head over to speakerlauncher.com and chat with us.